Okay, we're back. We are back with another episode of Schoolio with your favorite co-founder. Can we say favorite co-founders? Maybe we're not
Sure.
their favorite co-founders.
We're probably someone's favorite.
We're someone's favorite
We're
co-founders.
my mom's favorite.
Yay! It's questionable on my end. But we are back consistent, which is important because last week was the attempt at restarting this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This week we did it again. So how does it feel? Consistency.
Good. It's discipline. We're not usually good at this with content.
Yup. So we have lots to cover today because last week we talked about innovation. We talked about new features coming out. We talked about our amazing customer support. And every single week, Lindsey, you and the team are meeting customers.
Yes, sir.
What's exciting from the last time? And really, I think one of the things that we were talking about is what are some of the challenges customers face when they think about homeschooling, and how much of that surfaces in your one-to-one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one-to-ones are really fun. So anyone can book a one-to-one with me, and we talk about everything from homeschooling in general. A lot of people who are first-timers getting started. A lot of people who are veterans too, but they're branching into online learning, so they feel new. And we go over the platform and all the features and all that sort of stuff, but it's more about planning your kids' custom education.
So if you were to distill hours and hours of conversation with parents, what would you say is the top three, either fear before they walk into the Zoom meeting with us, or sort of myth that they come in, or bias that we sort of shatter on that 35-minute call?
A lot of people switching from public schools still think that it's going to be a 6 or 8 hour day of doing school. So they're not sure. I don't know how to time their days and schedule their days. A lot of people aren't sure. Again, am I supposed to do every subject every day? Am I supposed to split it out? So that's where we can give them that recommended schedule. But remember, in school, they don't do every subject every day. You might do sciences Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's not everything every day. And yeah, just that homeschooling takes such a shorter amount of time. A lot of people worry about how to pace their entire year. So how do I make sure that it's going to last this exact August 1st to May 30th time frame? And just getting people over the hump of that you're not doing school at home. It doesn't have to replicate school and their rigid schedule. And that you can make it what you want. So a lot of people, someone just asked me this morning, how many science courses are we supposed to do in a year? There is no supposed to do. You do what you want. If you guys love science and you do it 5 days a week, you're going to do way more courses over the year than a family who just does science on Tuesdays. Right.
But how much of that is fear of just still wanting to conform to the system? So, I don't homeschool, as you know. One kid is in high school and one is finishing up grade 6. And when my early days of fear came in, it was more around, are we doing enough so that if I want to send them back, they did enough? And so I think it's sort of a two-part thing that you and I talk about all the time. One is just taking people through this process of unlearning how school teachers versus homeschooling can teach. And then two, really helping them to understand what accreditation means or what a full year should look like.
Yeah, and the number one fear, you said the word twice in one sentence, enough, right? Are we doing enough?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that fear just comes from all of us being worried that we're not going to do a good enough job. So we worry about, are we covering enough? Are we covering what everyone else is covering? Are we covering what the school would cover? But you just have to get over that hump of there being a definitive enough. There is no enough. You do what works for you and your child. And if you do 2 science units that they were super interested in and you went really deep and they loved it, then they retained more than if you did the 5 mandatory ones of grade 6 if they were in school, because if they don't care, they don't retain it anyways. Why even do it? Yeah. It's the same result, right?
But okay, let's have a deeper, honest conversation. Okay, because you know your background as an educator. So by the time you plan to do homeschooling, you probably approached it differently than the average mom that joined your group way back. So if I'm a parent and I'm not an educator and I don't understand what is enough or not enough, and we've been taught growing up that it's never enough, right? Like most humans are in that average school experience. We're not the 99 plus and we're not the failing. So your average human is your B minus C plus. And we know how hard we have to work to even get that, right? So now you're telling a homeschooling mom or a parent or guardian who is carrying that bias of, I wish I could have done more to get my grades better, who's now saying, I'm taking you out of the system, so I don't even know what a blueprint to follow is. And then you're saying, how do you understand enough to be less than your bias? You know what I mean? And so take me back to like, you know, years back, 5, 7, 8 years ago. How does enough reconcile?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's a couple things in there. One is you went through the school system, and that school system left you feeling like you are not enough to teach your own child. So why would you want to replicate that for your child? Do you want them to get all 60s and feel like nothing they've done is enough? Or do you want to spend less time on more important things and understand them 100%? So that's where the definition of enough is different. Is it quantity of content that I've poured on top of them? Or is it quality and depth of what they have learned? Is it checking all the boxes that the school system says they should learn? Or is it checking the boxes of things you think are important to them? Whether that's like future readiness, you want them to learn STEM, you want them to learn financial literacy, you want them to learn to grow food, whatever your thing is that you believe is important. Do they get enough of that? And will they get enough of that if you're doing enough of what the school system says? So it's just reframing that word of what is enough. And then second, if we go back to when I was homeschooling, even as a teacher, before I even started homeschooling, my best friend was already homeschooling. She was also a teacher. And she said that she thinks learning to homeschool is harder for teachers than for parents who are not teachers, because we have so much unlearning to do. And we're way more likely to try and replicate that little classroom at home.
Yeah, it looks like an adult unlearning job. It's got nothing to do with the child. It's got nothing to do with their grade. It's got nothing to do with their neurodivergency.
Yep.
It's just us as parents now trying to reframe ourselves based on our bias, a new, healthier version of education. And then
the first year, the first day, I got their names printed on little cards like you have on your desks, and I taped them to their spots that they sit at the kitchen table.
Of course you
just
did.
like you would like a teacher would on the desk. And the kids are like, why did you, like, we know where we sit. And I was like, I don't know why I did that. Like, why is that important? It's not. You know where you sit. Like, you don't need a name tag. You're at home.
Yeah.
And it's those little things that we need to unlearn.
Man.
And then you would be surprised how many teachers end up homeschooling their kids. And there's a reason for that, because we see inside the system. And I can tell you, like, 80% of what they teach us at Teachers College is classroom management. It's how to handle 30 kids with one adult. And if you've ever thrown an 8-year-old's birthday party, you know what that's like. Even if it's like, if
I know
there's like
that.
6 of them.
Yeah, you start to crave that sugar for yourself, just so you can get some of that dopamine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch topics a little bit, because part of this fear is chained to a bigger fear that's happening now, where the jobs that our kids can do from our understanding of the world is changing. And I read an article today where they talked about how almost 80 to 90% of white collar middle management jobs are going to be gone because of AI. All the analyst jobs, all the research jobs, a lot of the creative jobs. So now let's step into the homeschooling world again to go. First, homeschooling has gone through a ton of tech innovation itself.
Yes.
Some good, some bad. Let's talk about that. And then the second part of that is to go, okay, if we are now homeschooling and the world is changing in homeschooling, schooling is being impacted, and the future of work is now also unknown. How do you prepare these young kids for a generation that we don't even understand, you know? So let's start with the first one, impact of AI in our category, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people would have said that when we were kids too about the internet. Like, what jobs will there be? What new jobs? What jobs are going to be replaced? All that sort of thing. So it all works out in the end, right?
But it's a little bit different though. Like, you know, I graduated computer science, so I've heard that upfront narrative of, you know, technology is it, and this is the greatest thing, and every job will be replaced by computers, and da da da. But there's still a level of sophistication with technology and computers in a little silo. But as AI is disrupting every category, from medicine to agriculture to construction to technology. And so the impact is wider than when we talked about just coders and the birth of the internet. This is into every part of, you know, society now.
Yeah.
So how do we teach this stuff? I mean, when we looked at, you know, our own curriculum, like, we didn't have a lot of AI component, right? In the beginning, we talked about the importance of financial literacy and SEL. So as head of curriculum, as you think about the next batch of work that, you know, you want the team to work on, where does AI education fit in now?
Okay. So from a curriculum perspective, I think the key focus is digital literacy, right? So everything's going to fall under that umbrella. And it's really hard to keep pace where you're trying to teach them how to use tools as tools are evolving and changing. But you can teach safe use, like safe experiences being online, digital citizenship, like how to behave online, for lack of a better word, and ethics of it in terms of, this is a tool that we use to help us. It's not a cheat code. It's not a lifeline, you know, like, you need to know. I used to tell the kids with calculators, you can use a calculator. It's a tool. It's not going to tell you what to put into it though. So you have to be able to read the situation or the question and know what to ask the calculator to do for you. And then it can do it for you, but you have to understand what to ask it. And I think all of the digital tools are like that.
Yeah. So then do you think we'll get into a debate fairly soon? A debate around how kids and cell phones are an issue? At what age do we start teaching them about AI and prompting and generating content and understanding real versus fake?
I think you can start with a lot of that digital literacy early on, especially the real versus fake. And kids are good at it. Like, my kids understand AI generated content better. Like, they can notice it better than I can. Even though I live in that world, right? Like, it's somehow more intuitive to them. And I think kids are always like that. But as soon as they're using computers, they should be learning how to use the tools safely and effectively.
Yeah, it's a battle we have, you know, within our own company at Schoolio, because too much AI too early changes the learning pedagogy and changes our vision of what adaptive learning should be, right? But bringing it too late means we're out of the game, and bad habits have been trained, kind of like a golf game, you know? Some of the best golfers either started really young, where they learned from the early days how to swing properly, or guys like me who we suck is because we have these subconscious bad behaviors that we've just learned along the way, and now we have to unlearn it. So I still struggle with, you know, how to really understand the impact of AI, even though the general noise is every category, every job, every you know, white collar, blue collar, whatever the structure is going to be impacted. It's just early enough that we can appreciate the success and the threat, but it's just not there long enough to see some kind of path.
Yeah, and what do you think about that rush to AI between industries? Because I feel like education, when we're talking about children, is entirely different, but it's not really being treated differently.
Yeah, and you know, there's hundreds of early stage startups that are doing the most basic AI work. Another coloring sheet, another curriculum designer, another grading tool, like the bottom feeder ideas. And it's the race to see if we throw a bunch of shit on a wall, what sticks. And the ones that do stick, that feel like it's gonna make it, we're starting to see them slide, right? Because they're being built without a true intention on what problem is it solving. It's I have a hammer, so I'm just gonna figure out how to hit everything to see what happens.
Yeah.
Versus, what are we building? Why is it important? How does it impact the next generation? And I think that's the part that probably for me scares me the most about this company. And we talked about it with that family, and I'd love for you to share how they're using Schoolio and how the students all studied Schoolio from the day they started. That we really are impacting the next generation. It's not a spelling tool. It's not a grading tool. We're a foundational education for over 11,000 students, man.
And that rush to AI too is different when it's education. It's different when it's anything involving children. So you can throw shit at the wall and see what sticks in the construction industry, and there's a million in the finance industry, all different industries that we're not talking about children having unfettered access to a technology that we don't fully know how to gate yet.
Yeah. No, I get it. So that one family switching to positivity and excitement.
Yay!
Who has been a customer for a really long time.
Yeah, so most of my customer calls are with people who are brand new to Schoolio, usually brand new to homeschooling as well, but some always new to Schoolio, and they're always trying to learn the ropes. But I had a call this week with one customer, hi Amira, and they have been with Schoolio this will be their 5th year, and this is
like
our
me.
5th year.
Like you.
Our company is only 5 years old.
That's
So
awesome.
they've been here since day one and started in grade 1, and they've been book customers because obviously the first 3 years all we had was books. And then so this year, the youngest is starting kindergarten with Schoolio. So that's exciting, starting right at the very beginning. And they're gonna implement digital into their programming as well. So she wanted to know, how the digital program works, how the blended adaptive learning program works, and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's really great for parents to recognize that their kids need that digital literacy and familiarity as well.
And I think that's the customer call where you hung up and you were like, dude, kids are actually using that stuff to learn for a long period of time. Not a seasonal customer, not a 1-year customer. And I remember as you were saying those words, my brain was registering them both out of complete joy and excitement, but also absolute fear. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I don't know. It's many days. We sit around and think about, because we're not a school, we don't see the kids. We don't see them beyond parent credit cards and data points on the spreadsheet. And so anytime we get to hear some of these real stories of impact, it's important to find purpose in the work you do. It's important to find measuring points and goalposts that gets you excited to keep going. But also know that there's so much still left to be done. The job's not done, like Kobe says.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see kids come up through the whole program. I mean, my kids did, but they were the original guinea pigs.
So when we think about students and in summer, because we're coming up to June, June is summer, parents don't want to work, kids don't want to study, everybody's sort of stuck together. I know in my household, I can't wait for back to school. I'm like, how many more months before we send these monkeys back to school? But how do you plan education in summer, if you do, when you're homeschooling your kids? And then for a lot of our customers that are continuing to sort of use Schoolio either over the summer to catch up or plan, what can we suggest without making their kids hate us?
So we would, in the summer, basically take the summer off, but we always had the little checklist of things you had to do before you could have screens. So one of them would be a little bit of math review, nothing too scary, and something that was reading and writing.
A little bit of math review.
Yeah.
You just snuck that in there.
It's terrifying. But yeah, and that. What we used to do is where our summer program actually came from, because what we did was we just reviewed the math from the year before. So nothing was we weren't learning new things. It wasn't that hard or scary. It's just a worksheet. for each day, and it takes like 10 minutes max, and it just keeps reviewing, like refreshing those concepts, helps you find if anything was like they completely spaced on it, and you can remember to review that. But it's just like really gentle, keeps their brains alive. And then we would do a scrapbook. So every week they would write a paragraph and we would put a picture of something we did that week. So they're practicing writing, but what they really like is that they're building a scrapbook. And then at the end of the summer, we had this like 8 pages, each kid, of their little scrapbook that they made. So that's how I made the summer program, is math review and scrapbook pages. And then they can do stickers, and they would tape sticks and rocks and shit.
So just everything fun kids could do.
Yeah.
Mine run as fast as they can to their rooms with their iPhones. They will come out of the caves every now and then because their stomach growls. They're like, ooh, I think there is food downstairs. So like bears, they'll come down the stairs.
Mine are teenagers now, so they do that too. The other day, Gavin had a glass of water in the kitchen. He's like, want to see a magic trick? I was like, sure. He's like, I'm going to turn this glass of water into 8 glasses. And he went up to his room and he came back with like a stack of 8 dirty cups. I was like, wow.
It's wild, man. So
there could be a raccoon living in
so there's
there.
many different things. I mean, also like all of the interest-based electives, like, you know, I like that over summer because my kids don't like anything academic. So every now and then I'm like, hey, there's dinosaurs, there's stuff about, you know, cats, there's stuff about, you know,
There's like pond
games.
life and butterflies and honeybees and all
And
of
our new
those
gaming
are cool
curriculum.
for summer. Yeah, there's all about video games.
It's the
really
coolest
cool.
one ever, man.
Yeah.
I love the presentation. I can't wait you guys to see. We'll leave the link somewhere in the bottom, or if you want to go check it out. The presentation that Lindsey and the team made is amazing. You know, so summer is a great chance to catch up. It's a great chance to look around the corner to see what's coming down the pipeline for your little one, or park the academic, just have some fun. There's so much content out there. And as an adaptive learning model, you don't have to be online. Your entire summer could be just downloading PDFs and never turning on the computer for your kids,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And you equally win, mom, dad, parent, grandparent, whoever's doing the magic work.
Yeah. Or you put them on the digital platform and you know that they're doing educational screen time. They feel like they're getting screen time, but
Yep.
they're learning something at the same time. So tell us about the new project that you've been working on.
Oh man, so codename Schoolio TPT. And unlike a different TPT, that's why it's codename TPT, guys. A lot of teachers have reached out to us because we do one thing really well: help you save time. Whether you're a parent or an educator, we help you save time. So how do we save a teacher's time? Well, we know teachers have to do 3 things over the summer. 1, they have to get their energy level up to go back to school.
Recover. Yes.
Recover, do whatever they got to do, Zen, yoga, we're not judging, whatever they got to do to get back into education mode. 2, they have to plan what they're going to teach for next year. Now, folks that are in the system for many, many years, they probably have all their books and their material and curriculum ready to go. But if you're brand new to teaching, you just graduated, got your first placement, you're opening up a new microschool, and this is your first year, or you've been moved, you've been teaching grade 6 for years, and now you got to do grade 7, you don't have the time to figure out how to plan at all. And if I heard right, teachers are competitive, and while they tell each other they'll give you stuff, they don't, right, Lindsey?
Yes.
Don't. So if they're not sharing, then how are you going to plan it? So most people go to TPT and a bunch of other resources like Pinterest and YouTube and start to think about lesson planning. But they still have to do the work. And then the third thing is, now over the course of the year, how do they stay organized? And every class is going to be a mix of students that are perfectly aligned for that grade, students that are way behind, that have been bumped up with no choices, or the restless genius that's getting everything done quick because they're ready to go to the next grade. So how do you handle that in a classroom of 30, 35? And so all of these things get solved with Schoolio's TPT, where we're the only curriculum that has got all the Canadian curriculum you need: math, language, science, and social studies. And it's also provincially aligned. So the teacher in Alberta doesn't have to worry about getting support like the teacher in BC or the teacher in Ontario. So we've done all the hard work, and we're going to give you the videos you need to understand how to teach something or just play it in class. We're going to give you all the worksheets. We're gonna give you all the quizzes so you can understand how to test for this stuff. And we're gonna give you a calendar so that you can plan your weeks way in advance on what to teach. And if a student is stuck with the click of a button, you got access to all the previous grades and all the grades after you. And so for $9.99 a month or $100 for the year, we think this is the greatest gift we can give to teachers for next year. Everybody talks about helping teachers, but you don't need another AI tool. You need a real tool that saves you time and gets you excited about teaching again and being in the classroom environment, not feeling the pressure of not being able to help your amazing students. And so that's the Schoolio codename TPT program. Would you buy it?
Yeah, like as a certified teacher, I can see the big ways that it would save you time. I mean, you have all of your units planned out, so you can have all your lessons, all your scripts if you need them. Like you said, if you're new to the grade or you're new to teaching and you don't know the content that well. The videos, just the videos alone, replacing all the slides you would make for your lesson is such a big time saver. Like 6-minute social studies video versus all the slides you would make and all the images and everything are there. So that would be a huge time saver. Then obviously access to worksheets, but not just worksheets, but activities that are aligned to the government expectations, right? So there's science experiments, there's research projects, there's art projects, there's all sorts of things in there that you can pull. And then, like you said, the ability to differentiate your instruction. So you can discreetly give different material from a different grade level to the kids in your class who need it, whether they need something more challenging or they need something, you want to give them something extra, because we don't always want to give our gifted kids more math work to do that's like punishing them for being smart. So maybe they want to do a little intro to entrepreneurship when they're done. And the kids who are behind, you can give them some grade lower, and it's very easy because the content's all there, and it's discreet to do for the student as well. So it's good.
No, well said, man. So we're launching it. It was supposed to be for June, but like any startup, we have 1 million things to do and only 5 of us.
And teachers are still in the classroom in June too.
Exactly. And so I think if we can launch it by July, teachers can use it by August and be ready for September, and we're good to rock. So look out for that announcement from us. And then to close off June activities, we'll continue to support you guys with some money-saving sales. So what do we got?
Yeah, we're gonna run a bookstore sale. So I know that this is the time of year when people are looking for their books and curriculum for next year. That's what we're always doing. Get the books in the early summer, spend all the summer planning out, know you have everything printed and ready to go. All the printers, including ours, get very busy at back to school time. So it's nice to have that in advance. So we'll run that sale, that back to school sale early for you guys. And yeah, you can get all set and then enjoy your summer.
Yes, let's enjoy this crazy summer. It's still cold in May.
Hasn't started yet.
Yeah, it hasn't started yet. Please start by June 1st because we need that. Other than that, that's it. We'll be back next week and continue to do this consistently. For all of you that have commented, shared some feedback, given us some things to talk about, amazing. If you're a customer watching this and you're like, I didn't know about that, or I didn't know I can do this, reach out to our team. If you're lucky, you might get
Lindsey. If you want to book a one-on-one.
Right. Shout out to Kristen, who's now also helping us with customer conversations. And so we'll be back, continue to share content. So please do keep us in the loop. And also, as new features and innovation comes up, we'll share that thing with you guys every single week. Happy homeschooling. Signing off after another fun episode. This is Sathish Bala.
And I'm Lindsey Castleman.
We'll see you guys soon. Bye.